Hi, I'm Lieutenant General Mike Basla, Vice Commander of Air Force Space Command. In 2010, the Air Force commissioned the national polling firm Gallup to conduct an anonymous survey of 100,000 active duty airmen. We wanted to estimate the number of sexual assaults that occur in our Air Force. The results were surprising. Of those surveyed, 19% of women, almost 12,000, and 2% of men, over 5,500, reported that they had been sexually assaulted while in our Air Force. That's 1 in 5 women and 1 in 48 men. Unfortunately, most sexual assaults are committed by people we interact with on a regular basis. Most of us, that means other airmen, and the study showed that among military perpetrators, over 85% of these assaults were committed by fellow airmen. That is totally unacceptable. As a service and as a command, we are committed to reversing this trend through increased education and awareness. By working together, we will end sexual assault within our ranks. What you're about to see is a reenactment of one brave airman's story of how she was sexually assaulted by another airman and her decision to report it. The interviewer is Miss Tracy London, Chief of Air Force Space Command's Sexual Assault Prevention and Response Program.
First of all, thank you so much for being here today. It takes a lot of courage. I know your primary motivation is to help others by telling your story. But before we get started, would you like a glass of water or anything?
No, thank you. I'm fine.
Okay, well, let's get started then. Can you tell us as accurately as you can what happened to you the night of the attack?
I was stationed overseas, and I had come home to the States to spend about 3 weeks with my boyfriend, John. The first night that I was at his house, he decided to invite some of his Air Force buddies over for a little get-together. We all started to drink. Everyone was drinking something, mostly beer. When some of John's friends decided to liven the party up, they wanted to play beer pong. Everyone seemed excited about playing the game. We played 3 games that night. I volunteered to play when one of John's roommates didn't want to. We would pretend to move our hands over the cups to try and deflect the balls from going in. We also pretended to put hexes or curses on the cups, and when one of the balls did go in, we would yell no or make some loud noise to show disgust for losing the game. We then drank all the beer that was in the cups and started a new game. As the games went on, they got a lot longer and we drank a lot more. We took a break from the game and my boyfriend John went out to smoke and drink some more with some of his friends. I realized I started to feel drunk. I got up and said goodnight to everyone. It was late, about 1 a.m. I went back to John's bedroom to go and try and get some rest. On the way to John's room, the whole house was dark. And when I got into his room, I shut the door and I undressed and put on some pajamas and crawled into bed. I was lying with my back towards the door, and I didn't feel the true effects of the beer until I had laid down. The room started spinning and my body felt incredibly heavy. It was like I was weighed down or something.
Okay, and what happened then?
A short while later, the bedroom door opened. I thought it was John, but it wasn't. It was his friend. He sat down by me on the bed, and he said that he just wanted to say goodnight. I remember telling him not to drive home drunk. Then all of a sudden he started to touch me sexually, and I said, "What are you doing? Stop." He walked away, and I heard a noise at the door, so I thought he'd left. But what he really did was lock the bedroom door. He pulled the comforter off of me in the bed, and he grabbed my ankles, and he flipped me over onto my stomach, and he pulled me down to the end of the bed, and he spread my legs. And I remember telling him over and over, no, no, no. I kept thinking that this can't be happening to me. I'm at my boyfriend's house. He's right outside, and these are his friends. I just remember thinking that this only happens to other people, not to me.
Afterward, did you think about calling the SARC, the Sexual Assault Response Coordinator?
Yes, but my boyfriend and I talked about it, and we decided that we shouldn't because we had drank a lot and we were afraid we would get in trouble.
Okay, then what happened?
Well, when my leave was over, I returned to my home overseas. A few weeks later, we had Wingman Day, and I remember listening to the SARC's briefing.
What we try to do is we try to minimize that. So we meet with the commander, their first sergeant, and maybe even the chief, okay? Now let's talk about the investigation process.
And I began to cry. That's when I decided to go and talk to the SARC.
So you basically had two reporting options. Your first option was a restricted report, and that means that the SARC keeps that information confidential, but arranges for you to get any additional assistance or care that you may need. Your other option was to go with an unrestricted report, and what that means is the SARC assists you, but also your commander and OSI is notified, and OSI opens an investigation. Now you elected to go with the unrestricted report. Do you think that was the right decision for you to have the sexual assault investigated?
Yes, I am. Going to the SARC was my first personal step in regaining a sense of control in my life, and then letting the SARC talk to the Air Force OSI was my second.
Agent, can you help us understand OSI's mission?
Yes, ma'am. The Air Force Office of Special Investigation is a federal investigative agency that investigates a wide variety of felony-level offenses that undermine the mission of the United States Air Force or the Department of Defense. OSI's sexual assault prevention and response mission is to investigate all unrestricted allegations of sexual assault in support of its mission to investigate violent crimes against people. Underscoring the importance of this mission, OSI has gained additional positions from the Air Force dedicated to investigating allegations of sexual assault.
Thank you. What else did you decide to do?
Well, I started to have anger issues, and I noticed myself becoming more aggressive toward other people. So talking to the SARC and letting her call OSI helped me gain a sense of control, but I also had a lot of negative feelings and resentment. The SARC suggested that I talk to someone in mental health. I saw them for several months, and they helped me out a lot. I'm much stronger, more like my old self, but even stronger.
Doctor, there are a percentage of people that don't feel safe or confident seeking medical assistance after a sexual assault. Can you help explain some of the processes in place to protect their privacy?
Sure. Healthcare is available to the service member regardless if the airman selects restricted or unrestricted reporting. Full medical and mental health services are available. As with all medical care, the service member's record is protected from unauthorized disclosure by the Health Information Protection and Portability Act, also known as HIPAA.
Can you speak more directly to a restricted report?
Yes. If the member chooses to make a restricted report, their record will not be disclosed to any law enforcement, command authority, or other entity not authorized to receive restricted reports without the airman's consent. However, Colorado and California state medical laws are slightly different, so if at all possible, call your SARC first.
Thank you. How do you feel about the outcome of your case?
I'm happy and I'm relieved. He was held accountable for his actions and what he did to me, and this also means that he won't be able to hurt anyone else in the Air Force.
Any sexual assault of an airman, especially by a fellow airman, is one too many. Although we did not prevent this victim's assault, I'm very grateful that she came forward. After attending a SARC briefing, she realized she had to tell her story, not only for herself, but also to prevent the perpetrator from harming anyone else. That took courage, and it's something that we know many victims never do. They bury it, they blame themselves, and ultimately don't get the help they need. As wingmen, our first priority should be to watch out for each other and prevent harm to our fellow airmen. So it's vital that we be aware of our surroundings and remain vigilant for signs that someone may need our help. We know that offenders frequently use alcohol to render their victims helpless. But even if alcohol was eliminated from the equation, perpetrators would still find and use other methods. Remember, you don't have to be drinking in a bar or be between the ages of 18 to 24 to be targeted. This crime occurs throughout our military population, regardless of age or rank. Our primary goal is to prevent these crimes. But if a crime does occur, we need to make sure justice is served. For that to happen, our Air Force Office of Special Investigation needs to be able to investigate. In this story, our airmen decided to make an unrestricted report, enabling AFOSI to gather all the necessary information. Where there is enough evidence to conclude a crime was committed, then that evidence can be used to support prosecution. All good airmen want to protect their teammates, so it was no surprise that the number one reason airmen filed a sexual assault report was to stop the perpetrator from committing other crimes. Every case and outcome is different, but in this case, our airmen knew the perpetrator wouldn't be able to do it again to anyone else in our Air Force. So I want to ask other victims out there to please let us help you and give us the chance to take action. Call the SARC and discuss your options. That's in complete privacy and confidence. Then decide. We need your help to end the crisis of sexual assault, but the decision is ultimately yours. Remember, what harms one of us affects us all, and sexual assault has no place in our Air Force.